If you've ever wondered how to give a piece of furniture a little texture and more depth, you're in the right place. Stay tuned. I asked my husband to pick up this nightstand off of Facebook Marketplace while I was out of town, and then he sent me a picture of the nightstand plus 3 dressers. So I had a lot of work to do. 2 of the dressers are actually a matching pair, so I thought that would be fun to do. And I've been wanting to do the linen look with paint that I did years and years ago, probably 20 years ago, on our walls in one of our homes, but I've been seeing it on furniture, so that's what we're going to do with these. My plan was to do a light paint wash or stain on the tops of both dressers and then the top row of drawers on the tall dresser, but this piece had a pretty dark black stain on top, which I was hoping was going to go away with sanding, but unfortunately the more I sanded, the darker it actually got. So I don't know if it was some type of oil or what that was that sunk really far into the wood. So plan change number 1. I wanted to do something different on this top drawer only because it's different. It's made to look like 2 smaller ones, whereas the other dresser just has one solid drawer across the top. This small little handheld sander is really handy for tight little spaces where you can't get your sander into, so I'll link it in the description below. I got it off of Amazon. It comes with tons of strips of sandpaper in different grits. I used a pre-stain on this, and I've read a lot of different opinions on pre-stain. A lot of people say it only needs to be used on softer woods like pine, and it's to help prevent blotchiness. I've used it a few times and I am not a fan. I'll say it seems to change the color of your stain. The instructions are to put the pre-stain on, let it sit for 5 to 15 minutes, I think is what it says, and then within a short amount of time you need to put the stain on. So followed those directions on several pieces I've used it on, and to me it just overall darkens the wood. I haven't used it on pine, by the way, but on these other projects, and then it just, like I said, I feel like it changes the stain of the color of the stain overall. So I think I will keep it on the shelf until or if I ever need it for a pine piece. So this is where I applied the stain. It's the color Early American, and as you can see, you can hardly see it because the wood is already darker than when I sanded from the pre-stain. So this is the one coat of Early American, but it just looks exactly like the finish I just sanded off. Too orange, red looking. So back to the drawing board. As I mentioned, I needed to go darker with this stain anyway to help blend in the stain on that other piece. So I went ahead and used some gel stain that I already had rather than having to sand again, since gel stain can just sit on top. I figured that would be a good solution here and save me a little bit of time too. Okay, now to the fun part, the painting. To do this linen faux finish, you can use just one color of paint, but I wanted to give it a little more dimension and have it show up a little more, give it a little more depth. So I decided to do a darker green. I'm using Envy here first, and then I'll use the Simply Sage on top of that. Envy on its own is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite colors right now. And I do have a couple other videos of pieces I've done with just that color if you want to check those out. It's a matching pair of nightstands and then a dresser I did later to match those that a customer wanted. So it's very popular, that's for sure. While that base coat dried, I did repairs, which this set was actually in good condition as far as that goes. They did have quite the odor, however, which we had to try many things to get that out. But for this, I used quick wood. It's 2 parts. You just break off however much you need, mix it together in your hand like Play-Doh, and then apply it on, smooth it out as much as you can so you don't have to do too much sanding. But I've found that this works great for small repairs, but anything that is going to be really deep, it just seems to never dry. So that's my experience with it anyways. Once it's dry, just sand it smooth and then you can paint right over it, and it doesn't shrink or look grainy like a lot of wood fillers do, so that's why I really do like this product for small repairs. Alright, time to add our linen, so to speak. I used, again, the lighter green shade Simply Sage. I chose to roll it on simply for speed because I wanted to have plenty of time to make the marks, and if I didn't like it, I could start over and not have the paint drying on me. So you could brush it on, but I just chose the roller because it was super fast. Then you just need a hand broom, nothing fancy, a clean one. But just take it and drag across in one direction and then go across again in the opposite direction. I did add a little bit of Floetrol to the paint just to make sure that it wasn't going to dry on me, which probably wasn't necessary because this went really quickly. But if you're working outside or you're doing a bigger area like a big armoire or dresser or something like that, then you might want to do that, and I'll link that down below. These dressers have those kind of raised edges, and so I thought it would be difficult to try to do the linen look on those, so I just did those parts, the body of it, in Simply Sage and just left that alone, and then I did the linen effect on the side panels and on the drawer fronts. So it really just depends on the shape of your piece. You can decide if you want to do it all the same or do something like this, but it is super easy to do and it's a really cool effect. Have you ever tried this before, or the same look but maybe you did it a different way? Let me know in the comments because I would love to learn from you if there's a different way of going about it. I wanted to keep the original hardware on these, so I cleaned them up by letting them cook in my hardware crock pot for about 10 minutes or so on high with a half and half mixture of vinegar and water. And then I used Brasso to try and get them nice and shiny, and that really wasn't working that great, so I did end up spray painting these. And this is a cool trick I learned to be able to do all sides of the hardware at once without having to do one side, let it dry, and then flip them over. So just attach the screws in the back and make some holes in a cardboard box, and there you go. I swear no project ever goes as planned, for me anyways. I don't know if it's just me, but aside from the hardware not cleaning up like I wanted, I decided I was going to buy new. Couldn't find any to fit the holes. The pre-stain issue. I also had an issue when I went to put on the top coat because it started to, when I was putting it on with a foam brush, it started to wipe off my stain. So had to let that dry, fix that, and then I used a spray-on top coat. Also had issues with the wallpaper liner because I only had some left, started to use it, cut it all up, and when I went to order more, they didn't sell it anymore. So I ended up just leaving this cute paper on the top drawers, and then I used that linen looking wallpaper that I had luckily in all the other drawers, so it worked out. So here's a reminder of what I started with and how they ended up. Overall, I'm happy with it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this something that you would try? They did sell quickly, so I will say that, and I will definitely be doing this again, but I know it's a little hard to see the detail in the bright outside light here in the videos, but hopefully this close-up photo that I got will help you see the detail. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. See you next time.